There are actually 3 levels of intensity that Reb Pinkus identifies that lead to tefillah from this perspective of difficulty. Bitzur is the entry level, what we've talked about so far. The next level is shava. The next level is crying out to Hashem in a way that he describes, transliterates it as hysteria. When we are upset enough, when something is so intense that we're almost babbling, we are saying words, but they're just coming out in a flow. We may or may not know exactly what we're saying, but I need you, Hashem. That's Shava. One level higher than that is Tza'aka. Tza'aka is a cry out to Hashem that has no words associated with it. It is literally a silent scream. At most, it might be Aneni, help me. The illustration that Reb Pinkus brings is one you might expect, which is somebody is on the street, maybe late at night, and they get accosted. Some thief, a mugger, comes to try to steal her purse or take his wallet. And nobody is on the street except for one person, not too far away, maybe close enough to help. And so the victim, in the middle of this, notices the other person and starts crying out to them, help, help, I'm being mugged. They're taking my purse. Help me. He's getting away. He went that way. Get him. That's Shava. That's crying out hysterically, articulating it, but that stream, that flow of words. What happens if the guy who could intervene and could help doesn't? What does the victim do then? You know what they do then? They scream. You're not moving? Help! Or just, ah. That's Saka. And Sa'aka, Kadosh Baruch Hu always answers. It's not something you can invent. It's not something you can create. But when we have that, even though it's wordless, tremendous chiddush, silently in our mind, now of course, we are talking silently. If one feels a sense of Sa'aka in the middle of a Shemona Esrei, please don't actually scream in the middle of the Ezras Nashim. But even with Shava, this idea of this hysterical, what I've described, is silently inside of us. One may say it out, of course, say it quietly to Hashem, but it's not an hysterical, physical thing. It is the intensity bubbling up and communicating to Hashem either through the Shava, the bubbling of words, or if it's even more intense, it may be tears, it may be consternation. It is not an actual scream. It is a connection to Kadosh Baruch Hu that comes from the depths of our soul and has Him in mind as the source of salvation. I experienced, and I don't know whether it's Shava or Tza'aka, but I experienced it one time in one of the most powerful moments of my life. My second daughter was in Shidduchim, and you may or may not be familiar with the difficulties sometimes in Shidduchim for young ladies. But as I mentioned, my 6 kids, my first 3 are daughters, 3 girls and 3 boys. And my second daughter, my first daughter got married, and my second daughter was dating, or at least she was looking to be dating. And a stretch of time had gone by, and she was finding it very, very difficult. And I'll never forget, I was standing in the living room of our home, and she walked in. And she was sad. And she started talking to me about how hard this is, how hard it's been, and how absolutely at her wit's end she is, and she started crying. And then she started crying harder. And if I hadn't learned Sharm Tefillah, I would have done my best to be a good dad, and I would have hugged her as I did, and I would have done my best to provide her with comforting words. I'm pretty sure I would have come up short because I'm a dad. But because I learned Sharm Tefillah, and I understood that there's Bitzur, and I also understood that there's Shava, and that sometimes there's Tzaka. After I hugged her, I said, honey, do me a favor right now, and I mean right now. Take these feelings that you are feeling, go into my office, close the door, and talk to Hashem about them. And she did. And the next day, she met the man who became her husband. And I mean, the next day.
You were lucky.